welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be rating every single Barcelona player and coach, because we cannot forget about the Flickinator, so far this season based on performances. How have these Barca figures, because I want to say players, but obviously Flick is here, how have these Barca figures performed in their roles in the first 4 games of the season? In this video, you will get my answer to that question on every single player here. Now, I want to make this very clear. I understand that 4 games is not a huge sample size, but the reason why I wanted to make this video now is because I feel like a lot of times during the actual season, well, number one, it's because it's the international break and we need content, just being completely honest. And number two, is because a lot of times during the season when Barca are actually playing, everything's going so fast with the match reviews, and there's obviously news every single day. There's a game basically twice a week, so we don't really have the chance to just sit down and kind of talk about how the players have performed so far in the season. So I'm going to make a video like this during every single international break. Obviously, the next one is in October, so the next international break, I'll make another video talking about Barca, performances tier list once again, and hopefully by that time we'll have a lot more starters healthy, so the list can be even bigger. But I want to make these videos just to kind of check in and talk about Barca's players and how they've been performing up until every, I feel like the international break is a good checkpoint, if that makes sense, to kind of check in and talk about the performances thus far when it comes to the coaching of the players. So again, kind of a long intro, but I wanted to make sure you guys understood why I'm making this video only with 4 games in, because I feel like 4 games is not a lot, but it's a good enough sample size so we can talk about how these guys have been so far and whether they've been flawless, good, or could be better. As you guys can see, obviously guys like Fermin Lopez, Eddie Garcia, and Christensen are not here. Obviously, those guys have played minutes for Barca this year, but I really want to pick the guys who have played significant minutes, who have started games, who played multiple games, or played significant minutes, because Christensen, Eddie Garcia, and Fermin Lopez have all played a half or less than a half of 1 game. So that to me is not enough of a sample size to obviously talk about them, but all these guys have played enough so we can actually make a judgment on how they've been so far this year. So that's why the list is not that big, and guys like that are missing. Obviously, guys like Hector Ford and other guys who have gotten, or like Iñaki Peña, have gotten no playing time, did not make the list. But yeah, man, this should be really, really fun. Whatever you guys agree or disagree with, let me know in the comment section down below. And enough yapping, because we've yapped a lot in this intro. I know it's been a long-ass intro, but enough yapping. Let's start rating these Barca players so far through the first 4 games. First up, we have the Flickinator. Hansi Flick, the Barcelona coach, through his first 4 games, in my opinion, has been flawless. He's been amazing, bro. And I'm ready to call it. Hansi Flick is the greatest German ever. He's the greatest person to ever be born in Germany. Think of anybody else right now. I'll give you 3 seconds to think of a better German than Hansi Flick. 3, 2, 1. You couldn't say anybody. Who's better than Hansi Flick? It doesn't exist. Nobody. And I know you're thinking of that one guy to say it as a joke. Don't say him, because he's actually one of the worst people of all time. He does not even come close to Hansi Flick, okay? Hansi Flick is the greatest German of all time. And in all seriousness, bro, this guy has been flawless in his first 4 games as Barca coach, and that's why he's on that tier. I mean, what he's done for this Barca team, he's, I think, reinstalled our enjoyment in watching Barca this year for most Barca fans. I think if you ask most Barca fans, how do you feel about Barca? Again, it's only 4 games, but how do you feel about Barca through the first 4 games of the year with Hansi Flick? And they'd say, I like watching Barca once again. I have, my joy for watching the team has been re-injected into my veins, and that's what's happened to me, at least. I can't speak for every Barca fan, but for this Barca fan, I actually look forward to watching Barcelona play under Hansi Flick after watching those first 4 games, and that's something that, honestly, bro, I couldn't say last season under Xavi. And the one thing that I love the most about Hansi Flick and this brand of football that Barca are playing, it's that it's high intensity and it's relentless, and it's never it's just they never want to. There's no off switch, I should say. That's what I'm trying to say. There's no off switch with Barcelona this year. Whether they're down 1-0, whether they're up 5-0, they're always looking to score more goals. Every time they have the ball, they're looking to move it forward, verticality. Every time they don't have the ball, they're looking to win it back. I love that about Barca. The team, even if they concede early on, they're still actually going out and their heads don't drop. They're actually trying to go out and make things happen. And that's something that we couldn't say last year under Xavi, because so many times under Xavi, Barca would come out and concede in the first 20 seconds of the game. It happened multiple times. So many times we would concede right after scoring a goal. It happened against Girona with a Dovbyk goal. So many times we would concede right at halftime. And that's something that we don't really see under Hansi Flick. The players are always engaged. They're always playing hard. And the shape is always there. It's always basically perfect. I mean, there's no, like I said, there's no off switch, man. And what this guy has done through his first 4 games, again, it has not been an easy run of games. I know other people would like to say that Barca have played nobodies, but again, if you actually know Spanish football, you know that these first 4 games have been tough. Against Valencia in the Mestalla is always a tough fixture, because that is one of the toughest stadiums in Spain. And to go down 1-0 early on in that game and to come back, and the way that Barca played in that second half was so good against Bilbao. Through the whole 90 minutes, Barca completely dominated Bilbao, that we know is a really, really good team. And if it wasn't for a cheap penalty in that game, or it wasn't cheap, but if it wasn't for Pau Cubarsi slipping on that terrible grass and giving away a penalty, I think Barca would have won that game 3-0, honestly. Barca could have won that that game 4-0. It ended 2-1, but Barca could have won that game 4-0. Against Rayo Vallecano, a team that Barca failed to win at over the past 2 or 3 seasons, Hansi Flick, after being down 1-0, changes the tactics, changes the team in like late in that first half and in that second half, and obviously it brings in Dani Olmo, and it completely changed the game, and Barca obviously end up getting that win, and we're so much better than Vallecano in that second half, and like I said, late in that first half, once he made the adjustments. And then obviously against Real Valladolid, the most dominant performance any team has had this season. Any team in Europe's top 5 leagues, the 7-0 against Valladolid, Barca were completely, I mean, it was ridiculous. One of the best moments that I've ever had watching my team play, and I've been watching Barca for a really long time. And again, all that is thanks to Hansi Flick. His lineups are basically always perfect. His changes tactically are always perfect. His substitutions are amazing as well. This guy, he's not getting booked. He's not making a scene on the touchline. Everything from Hansi Flick that I wanted to see, I've seen from him thus far. So again, looking at this picture of him, it's one of the few times that I wish I was a homosexual. It's looking at Hansi Flick. I wish I was sexually attracted to this man because, oh my God, I'd fly to Barcelona right now, and who knows what I would do? Who knows what me and Hansi Flick would get up to? But again, I don't think he's a homosexual, and I'm not one either. So it's not gonna happen. But if it was gonna happen, I promise you, it would be a firework festival. But anyway, yeah, to me, Hansi Flick so far through the first 4 games has been flawless, and I cannot wait to see what he does for the rest of the year, man. Again, am I saying that he's the greatest coach of all time and he's going to be the next Pep Guardiola? No, but through the first 4 games, you cannot ask for more from Hansi Flick, in my opinion, at least. Next up, we have Gerard Martin, who to me is going to go and could be better. Now, Gerard Martin has only played 92 minutes for Barca so far in these first 4 games, so obviously not a huge sample size, but it's a big enough sample size so we can talk about him. He came off the bench. His first appearance was against Valencia. He came off the bench in that second half for Balde when we thought Balde had an injury scare. And when he played in that game, I thought he was great. I thought he was good, but nothing special, I should say. And then he actually started and played 65 minutes against Rayo Vallecano, the 3rd game of the season. And that start to me was the only mistake that Hansi Flick has made in his starting 11 in the first 4 games of the season, was starting Gerard Martin over a healthy Balde against Rayo Vallecano. Because to me, when we saw him on that pitch for those 65 minutes against Rayo Vallecano, we saw, I think most people understood that he was a weak link on that team. He didn't belong, in my opinion, on the pitch with that Barca first team against Rayo Vallecano. And that's not to say that Gerard Martin is going to be a shitty player and he's a bust and he's never going to play for Barca ever again. But so from what I've seen in the 92 minutes that I've seen with my very own 2 eyes, I've watched obviously every single minute that he's played for Barca this season. I don't think he's been. I think he needs to improve if he wants to get more consistent playing time. Because against Rayo Vallecano, defensively, he was really, really poor, at fault for that first goal. Like one of the players that was at fault, I should say. It's not all on him, but he played a role in Rayo Vallecano scoring that first goal because defensively he was out of position. And then also going forward, the thing with Barca is that when you don't have a natural left winger, you need that left back to be dynamic, going down that left hand side and provide a threat. And obviously Balde can do that, but Gerard Martin, we saw Rayo Vallecano they did not fear Gerard Martin whatsoever because again, he lacks that quality still. So I think, like I said, the biggest mistake that Hansi Flick has made, the only mistake I should say that Hansi Flick has made so far in his starting 11s was starting Gerard Martin, who again, I don't think is going to be a bust or a terrible player, but I think if the more games that he starts for Barca, it's not going to be great for us because I don't think he has that quality just yet. Again, he could improve, but so far, I'm going to say Gerard Martin is going to go and could be better because in the 92 minutes that I've seen from him, he has yet to impress me at least. Next up, we have Marc-Andre ter Stegen, aka Mats, and Mats to me is going to go into good. He hasn't been flawless, but Mats so far through the first 4 games has been good. If you look at the 3 goals that Barca have conceded so far this season, the only one that's really Mats' fault is the one against Rayo Vallecano. Because that's at his near post, and Mats consistently gets beat at his near post, which I fucking hate, and that to me is unforgivable as a goalkeeper to get beat at your near post. But again, that shot had a lot of power, but in my opinion, Mats could have saved that. So that's the only goal that I'm giving him fault for. The other 2 goals, one was a penalty that was really well taken. It's basically an unsavable penalty. And the goal against Valencia, the defending for Barca in the box is terrible. Mats, I mean, the ball, like the player's right in front of his goal, heading it at him. I mean, it's really, really hard to save. I don't think most keepers are saving that. So again, for me, Mats so far this season, his shot stopping has been decent. Again, the only goal that I'm putting at his feet is the one against Rayo Vallecano. His distribution at times is a little bit shaky. It kind of leaves you holding your breath. But I feel like he has command of his box. Most notably against, I think it was Bilbao or Vallecano, I forget which game, but one of those 2 games, I thought it was really, really good as well. So again, I think Mats so far this season, Barca defensively have been really, really sound, honestly, despite the fact that we've conceded 3 goals in our first 4. I think Barca have not had a lot of shots at their goal or a lot of dangerous situations where, you know, Mats has to make something happen. In the times that he has, again, in the times that he's had to make saves, I feel like he's made them for the most part. So for that reason, I'm going to put Mats in good, but I don't think he's been flawless by any means, but I also I think it's unfair to say he could be better when, you know, he's done a good job so far. Next up, we have Mr. Renegade himself, Robert Lewandowski. Lewandowski, in my opinion, for the first 4 games of the Barca season, has been good. I don't think he's been flawless. I think he's been good. People are going to say, oh my God, bro, you're always hating on Lewandowski. I'm not hating, bro. I just don't think he's been flawless, okay? I think, 4 goals in 4 games is amazing, but I'm not buying this whole, he's back to being 2020 Lewandowski once again, because if you watch Lewandowski play, yes, his goal scoring has gotten better since last season. His positioning has gotten a lot better. His attitude has improved as well, but he still is a limited striker, and we see that even nowadays. Even in the first 4 games, we're noticing that with Lewandowski. Now, again, he's making up for it because he's actually scoring goals this time, but you still see that he lacks. Barca still lack that dynamic striker, that dynamic option up front, and Lewandowski's unfortunately at his age never going to provide that for you. He still kills too many attacks with his touches. He's still kind of slow on the ball at times. He doesn't really move the ball quick enough, in my opinion. So again, Lewandowski, his goal scoring has been really, really good. His positioning, like I said, has been a lot better. And he's actually just camping in the box and letting his playmakers feed him the ball. And that's why I think he's doing so much better this year. Instead of doing this whole gimmick where he drops back and tries to play these 1-2s with the fucking DM, which I hate. Now he's still doing that from time to time, which pisses me off. But again, for the most part, he's staying his ass in the box and actually looking for the ball, which I like. But again, for me, I'm not going to say Robert Lewandowski has been flawless so far this season, because there's a lot of aspects of his game that are still lacking and that I'm still seeing. So for that reason, I'm going to say he's been good. Now again, 4 goals in 4 games is amazing. Currently leading the Pichichi race for La Liga, which is again fantastic, good for him. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Robert Lewandowski has been flawless this season, because I think there's a lot of things that he could be doing better still. But I'm also not going to put him in could be better, because 4 goals in 4 games is really, really good. I'm not going to be annoying about that. So again, 4 goals in 4 games. Congrats to Lewa. But I'm not going to say he's been flawless. I just can't say he has been. Next up, we have Inigo Martinez. Inigo, to me, in his first 2 games was awful. And his next 2 games was really, really good. So for that reason, I'm going to say, honestly, I think Inigo just could be better. I'm not going to put him in good because I don't feel like he's been good. I thought he had a good second half against Rayo Vallecano and a good game against Valladolid, but every single player against Valladolid had a good game. So again, I'm not going to give him too much credit for that. I felt like in the first 2 games against Valencia and against Bilbao, he was really, really poor. I feel like, we could rely on Inigo from game to game, but the longer that Inigo plays as a starter for Barca, it's not going to be great for us. I think this is a guy who's a good squad player to come off the bench. But again, through his first 4 games, he's shown you that his highs are not that high. I mean, they're good, but they're not that high. And his lows are super low. And for me, he just needs to be better. He could be, if he wants to be a guy who gets consistent playing time, which once all of Barca's center back options are healthy, Christensen and Araujo come back, he's got to be better. He's just got to be better, because to me, so far, he has not been that great. So for that reason, again, 2 games decent, 2 games not great. He's going to go and could be better for me, because he should be better if he wants to get more consistent playing time. Next up, we have Marc Bernal. Unfortunately, this is the first and only time that Marc Bernal will be featured in one of these videos until next season, because he's going to miss the whole rest of the year, because he suffered a torn ACL against Rayo Vallecano towards the end of that game. But he did also, he played and started 3 full games for Barca this year, so I think that's enough of a sample size to talk about him, because he's played more games and more minutes than some of the other guys here, and again, he's been injured for a game. So again, for me, Marc Bernal, in the 3 games that he played, he was a guy who Hansi Flick put a lot of trust in. And he, to me, Hansi Flick was proven right by Marc Bernal, because he's going to go into flawless for me. In the 3 games that I watched from Marc Bernal, he was flawless in my opinion. And it was looking like Barca made the right choice not signing a DM in the summer, because this kid was just stepping into that position and playing amazing, it seemed like. It was looking like another 17-year-old from La Masia was going to, carry Barca for a whole season and be a bright spot for Barca, like Lamine Yamal and Pau Cubarsi were last year. It was looking like Marc Bernal was next up on that list, because La Masia is a cheat code when it comes to producing young talent, and employers who just feel so comfortable once they step foot into the Barca first team. And Marc Bernal was looking like one of those guys. That's why it's so unfortunate that that fucking stupid ref against Rayo Vallecano added 10 extra minutes and basically derailed his career. Because that game had no business having 10 minutes of added time. And because of that, Marc Bernal tore his ACL. So fuck that ref, because he sucks. And again, I'm just so upset for Marc Bernal, because he was so good against Valencia in the opener in the Mestalla. I mean, for that to be your first professional game, at the highest level for Barcelona, in the Mestalla, in a hostile environment, and the way that he performed was amazing. Against Bilbao, he was fantastic in that game. And against Rayo Vallecano, the game that he got hurt, he was arguably man of the match in that game. He was arguably the man of the match in that game. I know they gave it to, I think, Dani Olmo when he came off the bench, but Marc Bernal could have easily won man of the match in that game, because he was so fucking good. So again, for me, Marc Bernal, the 3 games that he played, he proved Hansi Flick right, and the trust that he instilled in him, because he was fucking amazing. And it was looking like he was going to take over that single pivot position. I mean, he's going to do it. When he comes back, I have no doubts in my mind that Marc Bernal is going to come back better than ever and be Barca's, maybe Busquets region for the next 15 years, hopefully. But again, this season when he played, he just showed how promising and how good he's going to be in the future. So I'm so happy to see. I cannot wait to see Marc Bernal once he actually gets healthy and comes back. But yeah, in the first 3 games, this kid was basically flawless and was one of the best players on the pitch every single game that he played for Barcelona, which again is crazy to say because he's just 17 years old. Next up, we have Dani Olmo. Dani Olmo's only played 3 halves for Barca this year. Second half against Vallecano, and obviously most of the game against Valladolid. I know he came off in that second half, but it was like in the 80-something minute. So again, he's played 3 halves for Barca this year, and he to me has been flawless in the 3 halves that he's played. Dani Olmo has been amazing. Again, I never questioned Dani Olmo the player, but if we can get this version of Dani Olmo for the whole season, which again, when he's healthy, he is that level of player, and he proved it at Leipzig and obviously with Spain at the Euros, we're going to be in good hands. He changed the game against Rayo Vallecano when he came on. When he came onto that game, I mean, the first touch that he took, he did like a little half turn, carried the ball forward, and you could automatically see Barca needed that spark from him. And what he's providing at that number 10 position has been remarkable, bro. It's been remarkable how good Dani Olmo has been. Against Vallecano, I think he hit the post, not Vallecano, sorry, against Valladolid, I think he hit the post twice, but obviously scored the winner against Vallecano, obviously in his debut. His playmaking has been fantastic. His ability to combine with his teammates. I mean, it seems like obviously he's played with a lot of these guys already because they've played on the Spanish national team together. But his connection with Lewandowski seems to be, like really, really good, even though they've never played together before. Him and Pedri, him and Lamine Yamal. It just seems to all be working really, really well for Dani Olmo thus far. And I feel like Hansi Flick knows how to utilize players like this. I just feel like he does, and he's proving it, bro. Because Dani Olmo, again, like I said, in that number 10 position through 3 halves, has been fucking amazing, and I cannot wait to see what he gets up to for the rest of the year. But again, for me, Dani Olmo so far, in the 3 halves that he's played, he's basically not done anything wrong. He's done everything flawlessly, actually. That's why he's done flawless. So for me, he's going to go into flawless because he's been fantastic so far this season, man. Next up, we have Raphinha. Flawless, bro. Flawless. Raphinha has been flawless this year. I'm so happy to see Raphinha finally get the credit that he deserves because this guy is so fucking good. One of the most disrespected players in world football is Raphinha. This guy's an output machine. His tenacity, he's so relentless. He's the perfect Hansi Flick player. He's the perfect Hansi Flick player. He's been amazing every game that he's played. Against Valencia, fantastic. Against Bilbao, playing as a 10, fantastic. Against Vallecano, amazing. Probably a shakier game, like his worst game, but still was really, really good. Against Valladolid, I mean, bro, 3 goals and an assist. Masterclass that he dropped. One of the best games you're going to see from a player this season. That 4-GA performance from Raphinha against Valladolid is going to be one of the best games you see from a player all season. I'm saying that right now in September because I believe it's going to hold true in May. That's how good Raphinha was against Valladolid. I keep saying Vallecano, against Valladolid a week back. He was that good. And again, for me, he's found this new role under Hansi Flick where he's more of a roamer. He's playing everywhere across the front 3, right behind Lewandowski, and he's been playing amazing. As a 10, on the left, on the right, Raphinha can make it work anywhere, bro. You can put this guy at fucking center back, and I think he'd make it work because, again, he just has that mindset about him. I don't know what it is, but again, ever since the second half of last season, he's been a different player, and I'm so happy that form is continuing under Hansi Flick because, again, through the first 4 games, you can make a very good argument, and I could make the argument he's been Barcelona's best player. And to me, again, he's been flawless. He's been amazing, and I love Raphinha, bro. I'm so happy people are finally putting respect on this guy's name because they should have been doing it for the past couple years because he's been a machine for the past couple years. This is not new. Raphinha's been that guy. But yeah, he to me is going to go into flawless through the first 4 games. He's done nothing wrong. Next up, we have Ferran Torres. Ferran Torres could be better, man. He could definitely be better. Ferran Torres is a guy who, I know he scored a goal against Valladolid, which is great for him. But man, he just leaves so much to be desired, bro. He leaves so much to be desired. He was good against Bilbao, but against Valencia, against Vallecano, you see this guy play and you're like, what the fuck do these teams see in Ferran Torres? He's just a guy who I'm done with the experiment at this point. He's just too inconsistent. He's not good enough in my opinion. You can't play him as a 10. You can't play him out wide. Like, what role does he really exceed at? Where does he exceed on the pitch? Because it seems like he's subpar everywhere you put him at. It seems like if you put him as a 10, he's subpar. If you put him as a striker, he's subpar. If you put him on the left, he's subpar. If you put him on the right, he's subpar. So where can you really get the most out of Ferran Torres? No coach has figured that out yet. No coach. Pep, Hansi Flick, Xavi, no coach has figured out. Where's Ferran or Luis de la Fuente with Spain? No, like Luis Enrique, if you want to throw him in there as well. No coach has figured out how can we maximize this guy's potential and his ability because he has a lot of it. But again, through the first 4 games, yes, he's had a good half here and there, but for the most part, man, he's just been the same old Ferran Torres that we've been used to over the past couple of years. Comes and goes, is never really clinical in front of goal, and just misses too many chances. And it's just a guy who he's just not good enough in my opinion. Not good enough. So for that reason, he's gonna go and could be better. I could have made a whole separate tier for Ferran Torres because I feel like he's been one of Barca's worst players so far this year. But again, I'm not going to be a dick. I'm going to put him in could be better because if he wants to stay at Barca, he has to be better. There's no question about it. Next up, we have Jules Koundé. Flawless, bro. Flawless. Jules Koundé is so fucking good, man. He's so good. Again, held his own against Nico Williams. He did it for France in the Euros, and he did it for Barca against Bilbao. I mean, this guy is he's a beast. He is a beast. The best defensive right back in world football. Has scored a goal this season. Has been amazing. Again, Barca's defense overall has been really, really good in my opinion, despite missing so many key players. And Koundé has obviously been the leader of that backline because he's the best player on that backline in my opinion. And yeah, he's fantastic, bro. He is fantastic. I love Jules Koundé. I love watching him play. I love how, he's becoming a lot better going forward as well. He has a connection with Lamine Yamal. He's never caught out of position. He's such a intelligent defender. He always knows where to place himself. He always knows where to be, so he doesn't get caught lacking out of possession. I think out of possession, in possession, both he's really, really good at them. Like I said, he's been getting better going forward and having that connection with Lamine Yamal on that right hand side, and it's been brewing for a couple months now. Even at towards the end of last season, we were seeing him and Lamine Yamal connect a lot more than on the right hand side. And this season, it's working once again. And again, like I said, defensively, because Koundé is a defensive right back, he's done his job better than anybody in the world thus far. So for me, Koundé is 100% going to go into flawless. A guy who deserves so much more respect because every time he plays, he drops an 8 out of 10 at worst. I'm going to keep saying it, but it's true. An 8 out of 10 at worst from Koundé basically every single game. His worst game is an 8. His best game is a 10. His middle games, he's a 9 out of 10. That's how good this guy is. And he has been for the past couple years. So for me, Jules Koundé so far through the first 4 games for Barca, he's been flawless, man. Next up, we have Alejandro Balde. I'm not going to say Balde's been flawless, but I am going to say he's been really, really good. Balde has been really good for Barca thus far. And obviously he's a guy who a lot of us fell out of love with not fell out of, but just kind of lost a little bit of trust in or confidence in last season under Xavi because he wasn't great and obviously he was injured for the whole second half of the year. But I feel like this year under Hansi Flick, yes, he's had shaky moments every now and then. Defensively, he hasn't been, the best. Going forward, sometimes he's still sensing shitty crosses. That's why I haven't put him in flawless. But he has been a lot better than what we saw from Xavi. And I feel like this new role under Flick is going to suit him really, really well. Because I feel like against Valencia, the biggest scare for me in that game was, Balde going out. Because if Balde gets injured, Barca, you might as well kiss the season goodbye. Balde he's a need for this Barca team in his Hansi Flick system. Because again, the backup option, Gerard Martin, is not an option in my opinion. Balde has so much more quality than him. And Balde shows that, he can provide that threat down that left-hand side when Barca don't have a natural left winger. And I think Balde is a guy who, again, defensively, sometimes his positioning is really questionable. Going forward, his crossing is a little bit suspect. Again, you want a fullback to be able to cross the ball in really well and consistently cross the ball in well. And Balde is still lacking at that. But again, how dynamic he is, his speed, his work rate is still always there, man. And that's one thing that I love about Balde is that he's always fighting for the ball. His work rate is always elite, in my opinion. And again, his speed and his how dynamic he is, you're not gonna find profiles like that in world football, like Alejandro Balde. So for me, again, has he been flawless? Has he been one of Barca's 5 best players? No, but he has been really, really good this season, and no one can deny that. Next up, we have Marc Casado, who to me is gonna go into good. I feel like Marc Casado, in the 2 games that he started, he's been really, really good, man. Against Valladolid on Saturday, against Valencia, he started both of those games, and I thought he was really, really, really good. Now, do I think he's better than Bernal? No, I think Bernal is the better prospect, but I think Casado has proven that, if he gets a chance, he can also do a job in that position. So, again, I don't think he's been flawless like Bernal was because I thought Bernal was so fucking good every game that he played. I think Casado has had some mishaps every now and then. But again, against Valencia, he was fantastic. Against Valladolid, he was really, really good. Didn't even misplace a pass. So I could very easily put him in flawless. But again, there's been some moments where I was kind of, where I wasn't as confident with him as I am with Bernal. But again, to me, Casado has been really, really good. And this is a guy who, we were relying on Bernal and Casado. One of those guys is now out of the equation, so we got to rely on Casado. But I believe that, I don't want to put all that pressure on Casado because it is a lot of pressure, but I believe he can hold his own. And again, he proved it now. It's against Valladolid, which obviously isn't a super formidable opponent. We'll see if we can do it against Real Madrid or against Man City or against Arsenal when it comes to that in the UCL or in La Liga. Once we play Madrid, we'll see what happens then. But again, through the first 4 games and the couple games that he started, I think he's been really, really good, honestly. Next up, we have Pedri. And Pedri, to me, this season, honestly, has been flawless. Pedri has been so good so far this season. He missed the first half against Valencia, but obviously came out in that second half. And I thought Pedri was going to miss the first couple games of the year, and he obviously didn't miss a single game. He's played every single game that Barca have had so far. And he, to me, in these first 4 games has shown why he's one of the best and most promising midfielders in the world still. And why when people disrespect Pedri, you just know they have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to football. Because this guy is amazing, bro. He's amazing. Obviously playing deeper this year. We wanted to see him play as a 10, but obviously Dani Olmo has taken that position, and Pedri's just playing kind of in a double pivot, but not really in a double pivot, but he's setting up with Bernal or with Casado like it was against Valladolid. But anyway, he's playing with a midfield partner kind of deeper on the pitch. And again, he's excelled at that role. He's playing as like that deep controller, and he's playing so well, man. His flair is still there. His creativity is still there. Everything that we love about Pedri is still there. Even after all those injuries, the class is there. You know, it's permanent, bro. And I think we see that with Pedri. So again, to me, against Valencia when he came on, he was really, really good. He had a really, really good game against Bilbao. A really good game against Bilbao. He was fucking amazing against Bilbao. Against Vallecano in that second half, he was extraordinary in that second half against Vallecano. He was so fucking good in that second half. It was actually absurd the things that he was doing with the ball. I wish he would do those things with my ball sometimes. I mean, this guy was making magic happen. Jesus, oh my God, it was amazing. And against Valladolid, I mean, like I said multiple times, the whole Barca team played amazing, but Pedri was a standout in that game. If you can stand out in that performance, that's how you know you're fucking good. And Pedri was amazing. So for me, he's gonna go into flawless this year. I pray he stays healthy, man, because if he stays healthy, we're going into next season talking about Pedri being one of the best midfielders or the best midfielder in the world. I promise you, that is a fact. Next up, we have Pau Cubarsi. Pau to me is going to go into good. I can't put him in flawless because he has made some mistakes this year, most notably the penalty that he gave away against Bilbao. Against Valencia, he really wasn't great. You know, his defensively, he hasn't had the best start to the year, but his distribution is so fucking good. I can't put him in could be better because this guy is an alien, bro. He's one of the best ball-playing center backs in the world already, and this guy is so young. But Pau Cubarsi is that good when it comes to his ball playing. So again, one aspect of his game is lacking a little bit, not even that much. It's lacking a little bit, but the other aspect of his game is so fucking overwhelming and overpowered that you got to put him in good. I feel like through the first 4 games, again, his defensive awareness hasn't been 100%, but it's playing out from the back. I mean, we saw that pass that he played to, who was it, Raphinha against Valladolid in that 7-0 for that second goal, was it, or for the first goal actually. And it was just a thing of beauty, bro. Very few center backs in the world can do what Pau Cubarsi is doing, especially at 17 years old. So for me, again, has he been flawless? No, he's had his shaky moments, but for the most part, when it comes to with the ball at his feet, he's been extraordinary. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in good. And lastly, we have Lamine Yamal, who to me is, of course, going to go into flawless. These to me have been the 6 best Barca players so far this year. Lamine Yamal, Raphinha, Marc Bernal, when obviously he played, Dani Olmo, Koundé, and Pedri. I think you cannot argue with that. And Lamine Yamal to me has been the best Barca player. Now that might be a little bit disrespectful to Raphinha, but I think both they're 1A and 1B. Because what this guy has done, he's assisted or scored in every single game so far this season. He's just a machine, bro. I made a whole video talking about Lamine Yamal yesterday, but he's a fucking machine. I mean, how good this guy is for his age is absurd. How good he is, period, is absurd. Because you should not be that good. There's no way any footballer should be that good that young. But Lamine Yamal continues to defy the odds, and again, to me, against Valencia was fantastic. Against Bilbao was fantastic. Against Vallecano was fantastic. Against Valladolid was insane, bro. I mean, every game that he plays, he's just dropping a masterclass. There's always a highlight moment or a highlight reel with Lamine Yamal. So for me, he's going to go into flawless because there's no question about it. He's been Barca's best player so far, in my opinion, this season. And he's going to round off this list. And that, guys, is the end of the video. Again, I appreciate you guys so much for watching. I'm going to do this after every international break, so look out for that. If you guys like this video, then let me know in the comment section down below. And I can do more with other teams. If you guys want me to talk about Madrid or Chelsea or Arsenal, let me know the team down below and I'll rank their players so far this season. I'll be more than happy to do that. And yeah, man, I love every single one of you. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.